And you're welcome. It's time for us to check out the dailies. Thank you very much for joining us and sticking with us. We have quite a number of them to run through today. And of course, I have with me here Mrs. Titi Onyesa, of course. Welcome. Thank you very much. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
So we're going to be going through the dailies. I think I have the Guardian, and that's where we're going to be starting with. You guys can join us as well. I'll follow through. We've got that on the screen right here. We've got these as headlines that will meet you if you pick up a copy of the Guardian. Corruption. Defiance to laws cost investors 1 trillion naira in property loss. That's a big figure. There's still more refineries. I'll hold NNPCL accountable for completion dates, says Lokwebiri. And SERAP sues Tinubu over alleged missing $15 billion, 200 billion naira oil funds. And of course, there is a chart there by the Guardian also regarding that 1 trillion naira worth of properties demolished in the last 14 months. That's regarding all the demolitions that have continued, trying to clear out the drainages in Lagos, especially in the Lekki area of Lagos. There are also the photo story here. Right next to it, Adilabu crash landing in Ibadan airport raises fresh concern in illegal charter operators. That's something of concern, and Atiku may be expelled from PDP, says former Vice President aide. And IGP affirms readiness for weekend's off-cycle gubernatorial polls, and plenty more inside of the Guardian. To accommodate the rest of the papers, let's move on to what you have now, Titi.
We have, of course, after the Guardian, we have the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune newspaper. It says here, Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa elections. IGP orders redeployment of Imo CP and begins distribution of new vehicles, security personnel. Story starts there on the cover and wraps up on page 22. CBN, however, remains focused on price stability, according to Cardoso. Why Naira regained strength at FX market, according to ABCON. There was a major drop in the cost, in the price of the dollar last Friday.
You're a bit too generous when you say major.
It was a steep drop. There was a steep red line on those charts, and nobody saw it coming. A lot of people were a little bit frantic about the amount of dollars that they had bought. It went down to about 950.
Yeah, 950.
Yeah,
That's not
but it was from 1,200 to 950. Now that was a big drop.
Oh, okay.
People didn't see it coming, but there is this speculation that it's going to climb back up little by little. That
don't jinx it.
well, speculation. It's all about the speculation. Yeah, don't sell those. Don't sell them yet. I'm thinking of the next story here. It says, story says Sanwo-Olu commissions red line when you go overpass. That was a big event.
It was a big event, and a lot
Friday.
of people are very enthusiastic about the red line. I want to say, however, about the red and the blue line, kudos to the Lagos State government. Fantastic job. We see people actually clamoring to use these as their transportation into the island. Great. But there is something about the backlog or the volume of people, especially coming from the outskirts of Lagos, if you're coming from the Badagry area and all. If you wake up, for instance, at 4 a.m. and you proceed to use the Mile 2 Clover to try to get to, well, wherever, you'd find a mass of people there. Now, these are people who have woken up at 3 a.m. or even 2:30 and have started their journeys all the way from
maybe
Agbara,
or Joe, all the way.
Badagry. Now, the question is, that volume of people, can the red line and blue line, can they afford to cater for this? Do we have more
when the
trains
blue
coming?
line was launched, it was at the event, it was said that it was aimed at getting about 500,000 people to and fro every single day. Now, the red line, during the launch events, they mentioned that it would take 500,000 people back and forth over the red line initially in phase 1, but then phase 2 is going to have an additional 500,000 people. So that's 1 million people plus or minus going back and forth. So I think that is a major, at least it's a huge step forward. So let's just say 1,500 people being commuted every day.
A good relief from the vehicular traffic on the road.
Exactly.
Let's move on now to the Nation newspaper. We've got these headlines here. Why Central Bank must bring down inflation by Sanusi. Give a Greek priority. A lot of people have said this from before. Now, along with that goes the fact that you have to also make transportation for your agricultural products easier. That means you have to invest in roads, which is something that we know when it comes to Nigeria. The maintenance of roads has really crumbled. Cardoso, we are changing Apex Bank's policy direction at the top 4 of the nation. NLC, Imo government clash over attack on Ajero's village, and Naira firm up will continue ABCON predicts. Dangote repatriates $687 million from African operations, and Jay's Bank grew profit by 74% in third quarter. President heads for Saudi with investment options. Of course, we had that in the news. And of course, to talk about bringing more investments or more eyeballs into the Nigerian economy by bringing in some more foreign investments. But for me, top on this one, the headlines here is focus on agriculture will help us out of the doldrums.
A lot of people don't realize that agriculture is literally the largest. It's the largest industry. It's the largest income. If you compare to other countries of the world, that is what many of these countries are surviving on. It might just be one cash crop that is in focus. It could be just coffee. It could be just cocoa. It could be just dairy. As long as you find one major agricultural product to focus on, you can change a nation. And hopefully, we can refocus to agriculture. We still have one more paper?
Yes, we do. The Punch newspaper, of course.
Okay.
Off-season gubernatorial polls, 220 people patrol vehicles deployed in Imo, Kogi, and also Bayelsa State. IG to complete deployment Friday to redeploy Imo CP before polls. Ebetokun bars VIP escorts, orders personnel to curb vote buying and also violence. To the side of the photo story for the Punch, commander orders others killed as military bombards terrorists, and details of 70 recovered corpses with police, say Abia. At the bottom of the page for the Punch, Lautech students sue Makinde for relocating a Greek faculty. That's very interesting. Find that one on page 7, by the way. And traffic excretes 86 heroin wraps. NDLEA seizes 14.4 million opioids. Israel gives condition for ceasefire. Deaths hit 11,000. Of course, the conditions are no ceasefire until we have the hostages returned. Of course, we remember the call from the Pope asking that this be settled. It's still ongoing. There's still plenty of bombardments, especially from Israel into the Gaza Strip, and it is becoming mayhem because they've done, it would seem, more harm than the other parties have. And it's a very sad situation when it involves women and children.
Even if you even go online and look at the military arsenal that both sides actually possessed before this started, you would already see that there was a David and there was a Goliath. And, hey, I'm not sure if that slingshot was the best idea at that point in time. Well, I have a feeling they might be regretting it as at right now.
Let's hope that we don't get to find out how bad it can get or how Goliath it can get, if you get what I mean. Well, thank you very much, Titi, for joining me for the papers. It's always a pleasure to have you sitting here with me for the papers. Thank you also for joining us. Maybe you pick up one of the papers. If you have an opinion you want to share, do that online. Use the hashtag #WakeUpNigeria on TVC. We always love to read from you guys. We'll be back. We've got more coming your way. We're getting set up inside the kitchen.